Hello friends, Sara Gaston here. Welcome to another edition of Facebook Live where I answer your questions about the business and craft of acting. So I just had a little bit of an adventure. I heard a crash and it turns out one of my hanging plants was blown away into the neighbor's patio. And they're not home. So, oh wow, that'll be interesting when they come home and they find this plant has exploded on their patio. Anyway, hi, welcome. So if I seem a little fish-meckled, that's why. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Sorry I had to change the time, but I'm actually going to be in an editing class for iMovie in a little bit. So yeah, so I had to move the time, so I thank you for joining me either live today or when you watch the replay. I have some juicy stuff to talk to you guys about, but as always, I'm here to answer your questions, so please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section. So, one thing I want to talk about kind of starting off is, hey Joseph, is, you know, we talked a little bit last week about languishing, about this feeling of being stalled out, that a lot of us are feeling because the pandemic has raged on. And so I'd like to read you a quote that I had in class last night, because I think it'll be helpful and it'll kind of kick us off to one of the first things I want to talk about today. Worrying isn't productive because it doesn't produce confidence. And even if it did, the confidence wouldn't last. Worrying is a way to hide from the fact that we are wavering on our practice. Reassurance is futile, or futile, if you're talking about the board. The reason is simple. We need an infinite number of reassurances delivered daily to build our confidence. There will never be enough. Instead of seeking reassurance and buttressing it with worry, we could make the choice to go back to work instead. And I like that, because here's the thing. I've been finding myself sort of stalled out, and then, and I may have mentioned this last week, we just have to give our word again, right? We have to give our word and we have to re-up our commitment. And I'm a little tired today because I was up till midnight in class. I, taught for a few hours yesterday, and then once I was done teaching, I got online to do a 3-hour Zoom class with the Groundlings in Los Angeles, because I'm currently in Texas. And was I tired? Yes. Did I really feel like it? Hell no. I wanted to lie on the couch and watch Netflix, right? But what good ultimately does that do, other than, hey, look, I'm just reinforcing this feeling of I don't feel like doing anything, right? Rather than, whether I feel like it or not, getting up and doing what needs to be done. So just consider taking that on. If you're feeling like you're lacking confidence, or you're burnt out, or you'd rather sit on the couch and watch Netflix, which you're certainly welcome to do, maybe you need to look at, well, what if I did it anyway? What if I didn't feel like it and I did it anyway, because there is work to be done if this is the thing that I say that I'm committed to, okay? Hello, Ashley. Nice to see you, or nice to be seen by you. Nice to know that you're here. Okay, so I got a comment with a few questions on my YouTube video about conflict. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I don't know where you've been, because there's a lot of good content there. Anyway, this gentleman asks, this is MJ, I need to know how to stay in the moment when acting, as you know what is going to happen as per the script and dialogue. Okay, so that's his first question. So I think he actually answers his own question. You stay in the moment, right? So it's a weird thing, because we have to memorize the script, we have to analyze the script, we know what's going to happen, okay? I always make the joke that, you can't play the end, right? So if we're watching Titanic, which is like a 3-hour movie, if everyone gets onto the boat and says, oh, I kind of have a bad feeling about this boat. Like, there's no movie, y'all. Like, they have to get on the boat and say, it was the ship of dreams, And, everyone's pretty and happy and really excited to do this transatlantic voyage, right? So that's the thing. We have to do our work so well and so thoroughly that we can inhabit that character moment to moment and actually kind of temporarily forget that we know what's coming next, and just allow ourselves to really listen and be present. That is the biggest obstacle that I see with actors, is just this lack of being present. We're either in the past thinking about, we screwed up our slate, or we're in the future thinking, okay, I hope I remember all these lines, or I hope I can cry on cue, or whatever the thing is, rather than just listening and reading the other person and paying attention to what they're saying, and let that information occur for you as if it's happening for the very first time. I mean, that is the trick. That is the trick. But part of it is we have to be prepared enough to let go. Okay? In fact, I have a video about that, a very recent video called Prepare and Let Go. So if you want to dive into that a little bit more, check out that video. By the way, all my videos are searchable. So if there's a particular topic that you want to know more about, see if you can't find a video about it. And of course, always ask me here. And his second question is how to get dialogues out of your head while acting so that I can feel the moment. Well, again, that's a little tricky. The dialogue has to be in your head because those are the lines you were given by the playwright or the screenwriter to say. But again, you have to allow yourself to be present and to think the thoughts that bring about the dialogue, right? So, you know, if your line is, oh, well, I'm surprised to see you here, right? So we can't just like pick an arbitrary thing like, oh, I'm going to be sarcastic and I'm going to say this line in a sarcastic manner. I'm surprised to see you here. See, that's some good 40s acting if you want to do that, which can be a lot of fun, by the way. But you can, you know, the thought of the character might be, you have a lot of nerve showing up, right? And so if that's the thought, then the line just comes out right in the way of the thought, right? Well, I'm surprised to see you here, you know? And I realize I'm spinning in my seat like a toddler. I feel a little childlike today. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question, MJ. It is a tricky task we have as actors because, again, we have to be prepared and then we have to forget what we know and live in the moment. And honestly, it's more than just live in the moment. We have to live in the world of the character. I'm listening to Green Lights right now, which is Matthew McConaughey's autobiography. And it's early days, and he's talking about how he approaches the character. And it's exactly how I've approached characters since I was like 14 years old, right? Which is, who is this person? Just who are they? And once you get who they are, everything that kind of comes out of that is going to be completely natural because it's coming out of who they are. Why is my alarm going off? That's insane. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. And you know, something that also has come up for this week, if you've ever heard me talk to you guys about essential questions you should ask for every script, is, you know, and if you're unfamiliar with that, again, there's a YouTube video, several YouTube videos about that, on my page, Sara Gaston. You know, it's not an academic exercise. It is there, it is just sort of a checklist to help you create a world for your character to live in, okay? So, you know, when you're trying to figure out who am I and where am I, who am I talking to, what do I want, how am I going to get it, all that stuff, it's not a quiz, right? It is a structure to allow you to create a life and to create a world so that this character can inhabit. And, you know, we have multiple things going on all the time. You know, for me right now, and I may have mentioned this last week, you know, it's the pandemic. I don't know what I've said anymore. But, you know, like right now, okay, so for me, spring is when I lost both my parents, right? So this is kind of going on for me anytime spring rolls around, especially Mother's Day. It's not a lot of fun for me, right? And then there's the pandemic, right? And then there's just sort of the civil unrest that we're sort of dealing with. And then, you know, there's sort of the financial impact of the pandemic. And then on top of that, I have to do things like stay up till midnight and be in a groundlings class and, you know, take this editing course that I'm about to take, you know, in about another hour, and, you know, see my friends and, you know, feel sad if I can't get a hold of someone, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So there are all these things kind of running underneath us in real life. And then on top of that is just our day-to-day, right? So why are our characters any different, you know? But we treat our characters like they have this one layer or this one dimension or this monomaniacal, you know, purpose and we forget to take into account that there are all these other things that could be going on for them. Oh, Sam, you are so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you, honey. Carlos, are you going to be my dad and be like, Carlos is like, who's calling? You better not be a boy. It's not a phone call. I actually turned on Do Not Disturb this time. I did remember, but that was my alarm telling me to do Facebook Live. But I'm already here, so I don't know why it's going off. Anyway, so that's all I have for you today as far as presenting some information to you. So, I always say time is our most valuable and non-renewable resource. So if you don't have questions for me today to drop in the comments, that's totally cool. I'll just start to wrap up. And here's what I find funny is every time I wrap up, like somebody will drop a comment in or a question. So a couple of things. We are back in the studio live in June for Tuesday night class. So if you've been hankering to get back into class, then check us out Tuesday nights starting in June. We're still on Zoom, so we're still doing Zoom classes, but we're going to be back in the studio in June. And you can learn everything about all of that on my website, www.saragaston.com. Like I said, if you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I highly suggest you do that, because I try to get out a new video every week with some little tip or trick that's going to help you navigate the business and craft of acting. And a lot of stuff has changed in the past year because of what we've been going through. And my YouTube channel, it's a whole catalog. I have over 100 videos, so please do a search if there's a topic you're curious about. And again, you can always ask me at any time, day or night. I will only answer on Wednesdays, but you can always ask me anytime, day or night, and I'll make sure your question is first up the next week. Also, I have a couple of online offerings. They are self-paced courses that you can just take you can take anytime. One is how to cry on camera. So it applies to stage as well, but how can you get yourself to cry? Hey, Mike. Hi, so happy to see you. And so basically, if you struggle with crying on camera or on stage, I have 4 tried and true ways that I use and have used throughout my entire journey as an actor to get the waterworks going. I also have a really exhaustive course called the Ultimate Script Analysis Course, everything you need to know about analyzing a script from A to Z. And it really is everything that I do when I am breaking down a script. And you can use this for a single set of sides for an audition, or you can do this if you get cast in a role with several scenes and you got to go to set, or you are in a stage play and you want to know how to break individual scenes down. So anyway, those are 2 online courses I have. And as always, I'm available for private coaching if you have something real specific, preparing for an audition taping, if you need help finding a monologue. We're starting to gear up into the IMTA season, or the Page Parks Agent Review season. Hopefully we're going to have a theater season starting in fall, so you may start to see some monologue auditions showing up. So the time to pick out an audition is not a week before you have an audition. So if you want help finding a monologue, that's also something I specialize in, because I have been collecting them for literally decades, people. Decades. Yes, I am ancient. I was on the Oregon Trail, but for some reason I was British on the Oregon Trail. I don't know quite how I managed that. Anyway, I digress. All right, my friends, any advice for people in lockdown? Wow, that is so broad, Joseph. Without understanding specifically what you're talking about, I'm going to make my best guess. So the advice for people in lockdown in terms of keeping yourself sharp is to check out my video on things you can, I can't remember the exact name of the video, but the video is basically like, what can you do while you're stuck at home? And it's stuff actors should be working on at home anyway, like reading scripts regularly, like practicing your cold reading regularly. Doing something like this actually can be really helpful, because you can get over just being in front of people, even though it's virtual. You can get over any nerves you might have around speaking to people. I was a guest on a friend's show yesterday. We shot just a couple of really quick little episodes, and we were just talking about acting, and I felt so comfortable because I've been doing this for a year. You know, I've been an actor for a long time, but I haven't really been a presenter on camera in this fashion, you know, very often. I'm either teaching in the classroom, which is live, or I'm performing, which is a different animal. So something like this just gets you more comfortable in front of the camera. So anyway, check out my video. I think it's called something like, 5 things actors can do at home or something like that. Anyway, I think that will be helpful to you. And I'm sorry you're still in lockdown. We're in such a weird netherworld here in Texas because the pandemic is still raging and so many people are still in lockdown, and yet, we're kind of free as birds here. So it's this weird sort of gaslighting effect, like where things aren't okay, but we can kind of do whatever we want. So it's a little unnerving. So anyway, you're welcome, Joseph. I hope that's helpful to you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in either now or later on. I appreciate you so much. Hang in there. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Our world's changed, and it's really traumatic for all of us, and it's okay to acknowledge that, and also, let's see what we can create moving forward. That's what crisis is, right? It's a sifting through and a letting go of what's non-essential, right? So let's see what we can do, what we can let go of that's non-essential, and what is valuable that we can keep moving forward. All right, love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.